and Facilities Committee meeting. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2025. This is for the School District of Waukesha. Tani, can you verify that the meeting has been properly posted?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Moving into our next general business item is an opportunity for public comments. Do we have anyone who has signed up to speak tonight?
We have none.
Okay. Moving into our first action item is the approval of minutes. Are there any questions or discussion items on the minutes? Mrs. Voigt?
I move that we approve them as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Next, moving into the approval of vouchers. We do have questions tonight.
We do. There were two separate ones. I'll start with the first regarding two entries of 2,500 iPads that were purchased on this in May. These are student iPads for new students and the student refresh. Both shipments are exactly the same devices, just shipping from different locations at different times, and that's from Steve Schloman. Additionally, in the same area, the question was, with the recognition of 10 years of one-to-one technology in the hands of our students, what is the replacement schedule? The answer is student iPads are refreshed sometime during their 4th year of age on the device. On average, the iPad is 4 years old when it is replaced. Next question, is that the reason for these expenses? And Steve stated these are annual purchases for new to the district students, K-5 and newly enrolled students, and for replacement of devices that have reached their 4 years of life. And then lastly in this area, when seniors turn in their devices, what does the district do with them? Graduating senior iPads and iPads of students that have left the district are sold to a refurbisher who resells them. And we typically get $75 to $125 for each used iPad. Are there any other questions surrounding this item? Fantastic. The second area of questions was surrounding the Aramark bill that we had this past month. Is this the combined monthly totals for all funds collected at meal times at all of the schools to be paid in one check at the end of the month? No, this payment is to Aramark for the month of March food service, not for food service payments from families. Those are handled in IC. So we don't pay Aramark directly those funds. We pay them what they invoice us for the usage of the month. And two together, how does the Aramark check break down? And with components ranging from $52,000 for a la carte on up, how does that break down? Each month, Tim, our Waukesha director from Aramark, he meets with Karen in Accounts Payable and myself, and we review the Aramark food bill. The bill is separated into numerous woofer allowed account strings identified by the function. For instance, breakfast is $257, $210, lunch is $257, $220, and so on. And then, and that is broken down each individual item. Once we review it, we make sure he receives payment, Aramark receives payment. The two amounts that you saw in the voucher was broken down by the objects of $310 and $415. So $310 are the services that they provide, and $415 is the food that we purchase from them. If you need additional information in this area, I can certainly provide it. And are there any other questions, though, relating to the large Aramark bill? This was through March, by the way. This was the March bill that we paid in May.
I don't see any. Seeing no other discussion items, I would then be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Passes 5-0. The next discussion item is discussion and possible action on the revision to policy 6151, returned or outstanding stale checks.
This policy is being brought back as revised rather than new because unbeknownst to me at the last meeting, I didn't realize that this was by Neola standards, that the returned and outstanding stale dated checks are one policy. So I found that out this past month. Per our auditor's recommendation, we are bringing this addition or this revision to you to update the policy. I also included in here an outstanding check analysis for you to show just how many checks are actually outstanding since 22-23. Everything prior is not. Since 22-23 in the payroll area, we have just 4 checks, and in accounts payable, we have just 19 checks. But again, and as Karen continues to move us toward ACH, this is going to become less and less of a concern. However, per the auditor's recommendation, we are bringing it to you. In the policy itself, you can see all of the green items, of course, are the additions. And this was based on not only what Neola provided, but also what our auditors provided.
Are there any questions? I think per last month, bringing forward some of the data, this is something that is auditor recommended, as well as it's falling in with the normal compliance about unclaimed checks. The one comment that I do want to make is that I think it's a really good practice to move the vendors to ACH, and seeing the dedication and the support of your team pushing and moving that forward so that we don't get to a point that we have to report. I know there's a lot of hard work that's been going into that. Just keeps us out of this. I mean, to the point where this is really a moot policy for us, especially with payroll, which are no longer really the checks anymore.
Yeah, I was just going to call that out as well. The 22-23, there was 6,100 AP checks, and now we're down to, year-to-date, 1,857. But you can see the progress that Heather and Karen have made towards that paperless goal.
Any other questions or discussion items? Mr. Harland?
The only note for procedure, it says that we're going to contact for any outstanding checks older than 3 months. Is there a cadence that we're looking to have that done on? Or is it just once annually that those will be contact? Like at what cadence is the contact made?
From the date of issue, the check is 3 months old or older, we will do everything we can to contact the payee to ensure that these checks do not become stale dated longer than that.
Okay. So that you'll continue to contact them every month then, moving forward until it's resolved,
So,
or?
yes, we have an internal policy or procedure exactly where it will be that initial contact, and we will make, as the state says, reasonable attempts.
Okay.
We make anywhere between 3 and 5 attempts, and then we will send it to the state of Wisconsin if necessary at that point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Piasek?
I just have one, it's just a nuance with how it's put together. So maybe it's more of a formatting clarification I'd like to request. So 6151, and it says returned now / outstanding stale checks. And then we get into the policy language about returned check. And then we have a subheading that says outstanding stale checks. And then we have like a policy purpose statement under that. So I think it's a little bit inconsistent with what we would normally do, where we would put a policy purpose statement at the top, and then we would kind of spell out the different parts of the policy. Not to overcomplicate it, but I just wonder if a subheading right at the top that says returned checks, that applies to that whole paragraph that's there. And then under outstanding stale checks, I would just cross off the purpose of the School District of Waukesha's outstanding stale check policy is to, and I would just replace that with the School District of Waukesha wishes to ensure, or to ensure accurate cash reporting and management,
Got it.
following
Okay.
procedure. Because do you guys see where I'm going with
I
that?
do.
Like the purpose statement is kind of out of order. We could even take that
Okay.
out, because I think the purpose is kind of evident.
Made clear. Okay, I can absolutely have that done. Does that mean we're bringing it back next month then for final approval?
Or Dr. Piasek can make a motion to revise.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to delay it another month.
okay,
So let's just make sure that we capture the edits. So I would add,
Absolutely.
a heading right below the policy number, 6151, a subheading that says returned checks. in the same format as where it says outstanding stale checks. And then I would propose just to strike the purpose statement under outstanding stale checks.
Second.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other discussion, comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Right, the next discussion, possible action item for
Point
tonight.
of parliamentary procedure. So we just took a vote on the amendment. We haven't voted on the actual policy.
We can vote on the official policy. I guess I was running with a friendly amendment.
Oh, okay.
But we can vote again, just for,
Either way,
I think he heard me moving an amendment.
that's what I thought. That's what I seconded.
I did not know we made an amendment.
Why don't we strike the action, and I'm just going to move to approve the policy as amended. And then we can try again. So do you want to second that?
Second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The amended passes 5-0. The next discussion, possible action item is the revision to policy 7450, property inventory and capital assets.
This policy, again, is per our auditor's recommendation, as well as a change to DPI's recommendation regarding moving to a $10,000 threshold. You will see that I included in here this month an analysis of the capital assets that I'd like to walk through just briefly with you. If we make them change from $5,000, which is our current threshold, to $10,000, the net effect to our books and the value of our assets will be $705,533. Sorry, $705,533. You will see below that in a side-by-side comparison of the old useful life that we currently have in our system and where we would be with the new useful life that is being proposed in the policy. At the bottom of the policy is where you see the majority of the changes, and that is a useful life table that shows, depending on what the type of asset is, that will be our standard useful life that we will put onto our asset list. Is there anything that I can clarify?
Dr. Piasek?
Just to comment, thank you for doing this. I think it's much more structured and consistent with where we were going with the language, so it's
very
very
welcome.
helpful.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion items? Not, I'd be looking for a motion.
Motion to approve policy 7450 as revised.
Mrs. White?
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Passes 5-0. Moving into our discussion and information items for this evening, the first topic is the monthly budget report.
Thank you. Here we are. As we are coming to the end of the year, of course, we are keeping an eye on things a bit more diligently. And one of those areas is with our alternate placement. We have received and paid for all of our bills through April. So we have another 10 weeks or so of bills that are yet to come in. So we will see those hit in the next month or two for August. Also, First Student, additionally with First Student, we have all of our bills through April. And so we will only have another, actually that would be a week and a half, or a month and a half, sorry, of those. And we are under budget for both currently. We did receive some tax revenue this past month from the city of Waukesha, which is standard, our May tax payment. And just wanted to mention that with our staff on June 30th, we will have our annual summer payout, which is 5 paychecks to our 24 pay teachers. And we will know our staff costs better at that point in time than for the annual review. Are there any questions or anything that I can assist with?
Seeing none, we will move into the next discussion item, which is the district long-range budget planning, optimizing our future.
Okay, well, I will start us off on this topic. And this will be a high-level overview here at F&F tonight of our Phase 2 process, which we are just about to launch. We've shown this slide, and you've seen it multiple times. You're probably tiring of seeing it, but we want to continue to emphasize, and you see it pretty consistently in the Freeman. You see it in articles that are written about us that reference other school districts, that clearly we are not alone in this situation of declining enrollment, and directly related to the birth rate that's been declining in the United States since 2007. So you see a number of school districts on this chart, and all of them either have or are having the same conversation that we are. Just a high-level overview again of our optimizing our future long-range planning process. We have completed Phase 1, which was the information sharing meetings that we held across the district, both for parents and community as well as our own staff, sharing the rationale behind why this is an administrative recommendation for us to go down this path and be proactive. As I said earlier, we're now entering Phase 2, which we're calling the gathering input phase. So we're refining our final plan proposals and then planning for, which we'll talk about tonight, our gathering input sessions, both again for staff and for parents and community, as well as a survey that Ms. Gunnerman will talk about. All building up then to the end of the calendar year of 2025, when the goal between October and December is to bring a recommendation forward to the full board for your consideration. So as part of the Phase 1 information sharing process, we had a number of frequently asked questions. We had a little over 100 that came in. We have answered those and grouped those in like themes. Those are available on our website for people to take a look at under the Optimizing the Future tab. And when we look forward to the in-person options that we have for Phase 2, we'll start on the top box with the staff. So I should also say, as you see on the right, all of these sessions will be held here at Blair, generally speaking downstairs in 111, 113, right when you come in the back doors. The first one of those will be this Friday when we have our strategic planning day for school leadership teams, where we're planning our goals in literacy, math, and student engagement. We're going to carve out a period of time in the afternoon where we'll do a combination Phase 1 and Phase 2 presentation to start it out, and then we will get input from those school leadership teams. On Tuesday, June 24th, we'll have our Teacher Superintendent Advisory Committee here at Blair. And then we have 6 different sessions in July for staff during the day, on Thursday, July 10th to that day, Wednesday, July 16th to that day, Tuesday, July 22nd to that day as well. Then we thought we'll take a break. We need to obviously get ready for the new school year. We'll be doing that all throughout the summer, obviously, but we won't be having any of those sessions in August. And then we'll determine what September looks like after we see how the summer work goes. In terms of the community, in the bottom box, on Tuesday, June 24th, we have our Discover SDW cohort from this year. They'll be here, as well as my Parent Superintendent Advisory Council will be here as well. And then we start on the same dates, almost essentially as the staff. We do evening events on Thursday, July 10th, Wednesday, July 16th, and Tuesday, July 22nd. And then we also have 2 Saturday morning events on Saturday, July 19th, and then the same with August and September. I'm now going to let Ms. Genderman talk about the next couple of slides.
So I will share a few of the details regarding the Phase 2 and what that will look like. So as Dr. Siebert had said, for Phase 2, there's an in-person option as well as a survey online. So we have an in-person session that he just shared. Those sessions will be for staff. And then we have ones that are for parent, community, and community members. There will be a sign-up available on Thursday of this week for each of those sessions. And families or staff can go to our website and click the survey to enroll in the session. If there is a need for additional sessions, we will be monitoring that, and we can always add more sessions. Right now, our sessions that Dr. Siebert shared, they each have a capacity of 30, just so we can ensure good conversation in the room available. So again, if for the in-person sessions, there will be a sign-up so that we can maintain, just capacity and number of people for each of those. The other option for people, whether it's staff or community members, to provide input is through just a survey. So there's no in-person piece to this. So what they would do is they would engage in the survey. The survey will have a recorded message that has similar information to what is shared in person, and then they will have the same opportunity to provide strengths, wonderings, opportunities, and then ranking the options. Whether you come in person or just complete the survey online, we will be asking for those same themes of, in the options presented, what do you see as strengths, wonderings, and opportunities, and then ultimately ranking of the options. Again, participation in these surveys, sign up for the in-person sessions will be available on Thursday, as well as the survey itself will be available on Thursday of this week. Well, the groups that are coming to the in-person, while they come, we wanted to share just like the structure of what it would look like. We have allotted 90 minutes for the time for each session. And so the first 10 minutes or so, what we'll be doing is an overview, like Dr. Siebert had shared here, just a high-level overview of information as well as the process that we've taken to get this far. And then we would share 4 different options. Participants would be provided a name tag and a group that they would start with. So option A may be on my name tag, option B may be on somebody else's name tag. And that's where you would just start for the session. But ultimately, we would rotate, and every participant would have an opportunity to hear about the option, as well as engage in providing input around strengths, wonderings, and opportunities for each option at that table group. By limiting the group size to 30, we think we could have about 7, 8 people per group to ensure everyone's voice can be heard. And then if people have questions about the option, we have a moment or two to respond to those questions. So this is what the total 90 minutes would look like. Again, that overview and the time at each option, learning about that and providing feedback. And then ultimately at the end, participants who come in person would be asked to provide additional feedback and provide a ranking of the options.
Mr. Watt.
Yeah, just a quick clarification. Will that format be for both staff and community sessions?
There is, the in-person options are available for staff and community. That's what Dr. Siebert said. There's a list of, they're often on the same day, but they're different sessions.
Right. But it would be the same format. You'd have the
Yep, the 90 minutes when they come in person, it would look the same.
same survey?
Mm-hmm.
Will the
yeah.
staff get a different survey than?
When you come in person, we'll be collecting your input through the discussion, and then they'll get a survey at the end just for ranking. Aside from that, if you don't come in person, there's a whole separate survey that you will then view a video and then provide input and engage in some ranking of the options.
Okay, thank you.
So that, we just have our final slide here that looks like the first one. That is as far as we thought we would go today. We will go a little more deeper with you and with the full board on Wednesday, but certainly can answer any additional questions that the committee may have.
Okay. Seeing none, I look forward to the deeper dive at the full board meeting with the full group. I think that's value. Again, I want to reiterate the work that you and the cabinet have put forth into coming up with the scenarios and the plan and the process. It's been a lot, and we're appreciative of that.
Thank you.
Our next discussion item is the 2025-2026 budget development.
Yeah, attached in board docs is a preliminary draft of the 25-26 budget for your review. The next time you'll see this document will be August, and you'll be asked to approve that so it can be forwarded to the budget hearing in September per our annual budget approval cycle. So we wanted to throw what we had out to you today, just so you could go through it. And if you have questions over the next several weeks, please feel free to reach out to Heather or myself, and we can go through that. I also thought we'd spend just a little time just quickly reviewing the Fund 39 payoff of the long-term debt. So I've attached also our current debt schedule. And then we've also been talking consistently, and I'm bringing it up as we speak here so everyone can see it. So this is, if we do nothing, this is our payment, this is our amortization schedule, right, for the remaining payments on the referendum-approved debt. And then down below, you can see the estimated call date costs. Now, we won't finalize those numbers because interest earnings is part of that calculation, so there's some assumptions that are baked into that. But you can see that if by calling the debt on April 1st, over $500,000 of interest savings would be avoided. Again, there won't be any. We'll never incur it, so we'll never have an action where it's just there in the math. But I thought that's a important number to throw out there. So again, we're planning as of now to pay off the debt on April 1st. That'll mean come January or February, we'll be bringing the board giving the approval to call the debt. So there'll be a resolution that you'll need to approve at that time to make that process get started and moving forward. But again, in terms of debt, we're in a very unique place to be absolutely debt-free as the 7th largest school district in the state of Wisconsin. It's a pretty cool thing in terms of school finance. I also included again, this is way early, and I should probably start before we get into the numbers too much. There is no state budget for the next 2 years, so come June 30 of this year, either we'll roll with if they don't approve a state biennial budget, we'll roll with current legislation, and that's what the budget document that's shared with you tonight is pretty much based on. If you were to ask me, what's the assumptions? It's assuming everything is going as the current law is written. But I shared with you my actual revenue limit worksheet. Again, I'll stress, we're 4 months out from final approval, and there's a lot of discussions in Madison. There's a lot of review yet to be done by Heather and I and our staff. But if you look at the revenue limit calculation, the orange boxes are kind of our general or key assumptions that go into this calculation. One number that you've heard a lot through our optimizing the future conversations on the left side is a 2% drop in enrollment for the third Friday count that will occur this fall. That's been the steady number for years. Down below that, I put in 5% EAV growth. That's our 10-year average. Certainly, we'll refine that as we go. The EAV does not impact the amount of revenue that we can generate. It's just used to calculate the tax rate. And then off onto the right-hand side, you have on lines H and I, the 6.8 and just shy of $1 million. That's the voucher program. It's great that they add that to our revenue limit, but there's a matching expenditure that comes along with that. So we're strictly doing bookkeeping for the state at that point. And on a dollar basis, which could mean the funding rate or the change in the student population involved, I'm assuming a 15% increase in that. And then I'm assuming flat equalization aid, meaning it'll be the same amount that we're getting this year because we have nothing else to use. So I thought I'd use a number that actually occurred. And then down below, it's tied to the information I just shared. We're guesstimating at this time that our Fund 39 levy will be $2.3 million, which is significantly lower than it was for this year. So with that said, we're picturing a very early projection of a 3.6% levy increase, but again, a lot has to happen between now and then. But I thought I'd share the numbers that we're looking at now. And then I'll start rolling out,
Mr. Wood?
Did you intend to say a levy increase?
oh, I'm sorry, I said, meant to say decrease.
Okay, thank
Sorry.
I had the same look on my face.
Actually, I looked at both of you and I went, well, I thought they liked the decrease, but
And I want to clarify one thing before we move into the next page, because a lot of the conversation that you hear about private schools and voucher schools, and as you call out, the voucher school, we receive the revenue, but we also receive an offsetting expense. So when we hear community members talk about that, we're losing money to the voucher schools or the private schools, the answer is really, well, that's not necessarily true. It's intended to be a net zero impact for the revenue coming in for the students that voucher out and an offsetting expense, so it's a net zero when we take a look at the funds available to actually fund the students of which we serve.
And then this sheet we use to kind of track our levy conversations each year. And again, you can see down on line C where the Fund 39 levy drops from 7.9 million down to an estimated $2.3 million. And that's what's really securing or helping us secure what we project to be a levy decrease for the 25-26 school year. The other thing I do, and I think it's more important, and it kind of touches on what you were just mentioning, if you slide down or page down to the next page, I net out, I've gotten into this, what's our net revenue limit, meaning what's the revenue authority the board has for teaching our students in our classrooms or our virtual. So I net out the choice programs, and our revenue limit authority net of the voucher programs is projected to increase by 1.19%. But yet we're asked to approve a levy that's based on those voucher programs. And I think puts the board in a weird situation where you're approving a levy for the voucher program, and I don't think they understand that those dollars are going elsewhere. Serving kids within our school district certainly, but not, but to different educational entities. So hopefully I added that quick. I think it's an interesting data point as we try to decipher local dollars and voucher dollars moving forward. So we'll continue to update this as we move across. I think the next big thing, obviously, at the end of this month, the legislature is supposed to have a budget to the governor. That'll be a data point. What he chooses to do with that, as we learned last cycle, can change to a significant degree. And then as we get into fall, we'll start getting more information. Most notably, there'll be the third Friday count in September. So that's where we are in terms of development of next year's budget. And again, if you have any questions related to it, just feel free to give me a holler.
All right, any questions or additional discussion? Dr. Piasek?
Maybe it's just a holding comment that our attempts to do this analysis at this point in the cycle are interesting, but often kind of unproductive. So it gives us a good sense of what we're looking at, but we don't have a budget in front of us. We don't have enrollment data in front of us. We don't have equalization aid, any of that information. So I think it's a good exercise. I mean, at least if something were significantly aberrant, it might stand out to us, but it's just really hard to come to any conclusion about what we're looking at.
Yeah, if we didn't have to pass a budget in August, I wouldn't have brought it forward, but I thought you needed that to help you frame that action that would go to a budget hearing. Otherwise, I would agree this is way premature. But yet, I couldn't come back to you I didn't want to come back to you in August with a levy that you had no feel of what it might be. So that was my thinking.
Okay, seeing no further discussion. Going into other business, are there recommendations for future committee meetings? Okay, seeing none, that concludes our meeting. There are no committee meetings in the month of July, so we will reconvene in August. There will be the full board, obviously, in July. So see you next August. Oh, 2 months, never mind. Thanks.
Not bad.